Hi everybody, Jane here, and today I'm talking to you about the free books on Smashwords for the month of July that are mine. So Smashwords is a company that I do some self-publishing on. I use them and I use Amazon. I usually go exclusive with Amazon in the beginning for a book, and then after it's been exclusive for a while, I do publish on Smashwords, which sends it to Barnes and Noble and other places. So I love Smashwords. If you're a writer, I highly recommend using Smashwords, especially if you decide not to be Amazon exclusive. But I'm not approaching that topic today as a writer. I'm approaching it as a reader. So Smashwords has an amazing summer sale where they encourage a lot of their authors to put books up for free or discounted prices. Smashwords is really easy to get to. You just www.smashwords.com, and I will put the link below. Go in there, create an account, and then get you some free books. And they come in a lot of different formats. So whatever e-reader you're using, or even if you're using your phone or your computer, you should be able to read from the files that you can get on Smashwords. And like I said, for the month of July, they've got a ton of free books, including some of mine. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about the free books that are mine that are currently available on Smashwords. So I have a lot of my backlist titles. This is a great entry place if you have never read a Jane book before and kind of want to. Also, just so you know, if you happen to miss the sale and are watching this video in the future, if you message me, I'm pretty good about giving people coupons or to pick up a book on Smashwords. I don't mind giving you your first book for free. Please don't ask me to give you every single book for free. That only happens on special occasions like this, where you can download many of my backlisted books all for free. But if you missed this and just want to try out one of my books, send me a message, an email, and I'll try to send you a coupon code for one free book because I get it. You want to try me, but maybe the fact that my books are a little bit on the expensive side, I believe $3.99, is a little bit of a deterrent until you know if you like my style. And I completely get that. I feel the same way. I love free and cheap entry books, and then once I know and trust an author, I'm happy to pay to read the rest of the series. Continuing on. The books currently available on Smashwords for free. Please pick all of them up. Please take them all. All right, the first one is the prologue to my Educating Autumn series. Educating Autumn is technically the first book in the series, and Singing the Last Song is technically the prologue, but they're interconnected books. And in order of what happens, Singing the Last Song is first. Singing the Last Song is about two women. One is Birdie and one is Sharon. And Birdie joins a rock band which is singing protests for the current world that they live in. They live in a world where there's a war going on, there's a draft going on, things are bad. Think Vietnam era, but in the future. So it'll give you very Vietnam era vibes. You know, the guys are being drafted and they don't want to be, but they don't have a choice. And there's a lot of death and terrible stuff happening to these poor soldiers. And Birdie, three of her band members are soldiers who've come back. Some with illnesses due to their service. So also a lot of rights are being taken away from women through the government and just everybody in general, because it's important for people to keep having babies and replenish the population because we're losing so many people in the war in this story. So you've got a really complex world. Birdie joins a band who are singing in protest to these changes. And that was something that I am actually really passionate about. I love the Vietnam era music, and so much of the music that is, why are we doing this? Can't we have peace? Oh, I love that. So she's part of a band that is protesting the changes in their world. While she's In this little band, she falls in love with two of her band members. However, this is not a romance. It's important I stress that because I'm gonna warn you now. Some dark crap happens in this book, and there are no happily ever afters. We end up in a dystopian society. So if you're looking for happy, fluffy bunnies, this is not for you. But I do think it's one of the books that was my first that I wrote, and I really, really love some of the things I did with it. And would be excited for people who think they can handle the darkness to pick it up. And if you're going to move on to Educating Autumn, I recommend reading it, and maybe after Educating Autumn, to see how we got to Educating Autumn, that world. The other person in the story beside Bertie is Sharon. And Sharon is Bertie's sister-in-law. Sharon's husband was killed in the war, and Sharon has been hired by a group of scientists who have a solution to the problems of the modern world. And that solution is they're going to blow everything up. Literally, everything. So this group of scientists has gotten together and they have devised basically a nuclear device to wipe away everything on the surface of the earth. They're going to put some people in bunkers underneath the ground to keep them safe so that the human population can be brought back. They're going to keep them under there for 100 years because there's also, along with the war, it's not just the war that's destroying humanity. The weapons from the war are causing mass environmental problems, and there's the concern that, hey, we're not going to be able to survive as a species in like 50 years, maybe less, because of all the stuff we're putting in the air. So 100 years in the bunker should be enough time to kind of settle things down in the air and get our atmosphere back and stuff like that. So, and the bombs are cool. I don't know, they probably had some chemicals in it to help create a new Eden type thing. Anyway, not a scientist. It was great in my head. That happens in the first story. Those are the characters in the first story. Sharon, her big conflict of plot is, how does she choose? And particularly, does she put her son in an underground bunker where he will never see sunshine, where he will never know the life that she currently has, and she can't go with him? Or is it better to let him, be with her when the bomb goes off? So she's dealing with that. The next book, okay, so we have the prologue, is Educating Autumn. In the new world, in the dystopian that Educating Autumn takes place in, women have no rights. Autumn is a woman who has never been sent to school. She has taught herself how to read. However, that is really forbidden to women. She's really not supposed to read. They're not going to arrest her. It's not like forbidden in that way, but women aren't taught to read. They're not supposed to read. Her job as a woman is to marry and keep a house and have babies, and that's it. And she is sorely, sorely unsuited for that life, just saying. Enter Orion, a man who can appreciate the fact that a woman can read. He realizes through a series of events that, Autumn has a special gift. She can read, and she's a woman. So he goes to her father and buys her, because that's what we do in this world. Then Orion takes her home, and they fall in love. There is a complexity that Autumn's mother is horrified that her father has given him her to marriage to Orion, because Orion is going to university at a place called Retois. And on Retois, you have a much more modern thinking world. I mean, it's not quite modern day modern, but a lot of things that aren't acceptable in Josiathan, where Autumn is from, are there. It's like science. They teach science at their university, which is why Orion's going there. He wants to be a veterinarian, or to study animal science. He doesn't want to be like a veterinarian all around, but on his family farm, he wants to treat the horses. They have a horse farm. Anyway, so her mother is horrified that her father would marry Autumn to somebody who's clearly got some ideas, some very, ideas that are not okay. and is really worried for the welfare of her daughter. So Autumn goes into this marriage very afraid, very wondering what horrors await her, to this husband with very modern, or very like heathenistic ideas. They fall in love, it's okay, I promise. Like I said, the first book was dark, everything else is not. It has dark moments, it has dark topics, but everybody else gets a happily ever after. So Educating Autumn is a love story. The next book in this world is actually takes place in the middle of Educating Autumn. So Educating Autumn is divided into 3 parts. The first part is when Autumn marries Orion, and then he leaves for school for 4 years and comes back. And this book, which is Desiring the his Doctor in Training, takes place right here. It takes place between part 1 and part 2, while Orion is in school. And it takes place with his schoolmates, Andy and Joel. So in Educating Autumn, Andy is Orion's best friend. He's his best man at his wedding, and he goes off to school on Rateau with Orion. Andy likes men. He's not heterosexual. And while he is, and that is forbidden on Josiathan, okay? That's not permitted. But on Ratos, it's fine. So he goes there and he falls in love and has to figure out what that means and what he's going to do. So if you read the whole Educating Autumn story, there's not going to be too much that you don't know about how that turns out. However, it's cool. It's nice to see that. And if you like a little male-male romance, go for it. I think it's a great story to have in it, and it gives you a little bit of insight into the time that Orion was away at university. A little bit more character building for him, because we get to spend some time with him, because him and Andy are roommates. The next book in the series that is also, again, all of these are available for free right now. Go get them. Is Desiring the Doctor. Desiring the Doctor is a biracial romance. I can't tell you too much about it because it does follow Educating Autumn, and there's some plot stuff that happens that's related to it. Briefly, a character we meet in Educating Autumn, a woman, ends up meeting James, who is a doctor, going to work for James, who is a doctor, and they fall in love. So James is from Pacificon, which is another of the 3 major countries that occur after the explosion happens after the bombs go off in book 1, because they do go off and dystopian societies happen. So once the dystopian society emerges, there's 3 main countries of power, and he's from Pacificon. And Pacificon would have had the bunker, probably the bunker for Africa. And so he is dark-skinned, comes out, and ends up moving to Josiathan to practice medicine. But his family is still on Pacificon. Anyway, romance ensues. I love it. It's great. There may eventually be more books in the series, but I have outlines for them, but I haven't sat down to write them. So who knows? But you can get the entire series that exists absolutely free right now on Smashwords. There is more than just that series, in case that's not your jam. I understand if it's not. Also for free is Secrets of Arash Innis. This is a YA romance in a fantasy world. You have Alicia, who is a telepath and a princess, and her telepathy makes her terribly sick. Despite this fact, she is engaged to be married, not by her choice, to Prince Rojan. And Prince Rojan is a lunar dragon. And what that means in this story is that he is capable of shifting into a dragon. They have a god named Lunario. And they are believed to be like, there's a whole mythology of why. But anyway, he's a dragon, but he can't shift anytime he wants. He can only shift under certain circumstances. But he shifts into a dragon to keep his country safe under the right circumstances. Alicia and Rojan get married. He doesn't know she's a telepath. She doesn't know he's a dragon. Love ensues. Cool things happen. They save the world. Well, they save the kingdom anyway. It's cute. It is pretty clean. There is no on stage intimacies happening. So if you're looking for something that's a little on my catalog that's a little more sweet and clean, I don't have a lot of them, but that is one. So if you're not really into bedroom scenes, want it to be really just fade to black, this is the one to pick up, especially if you like fantasy worlds. The next one that is absolutely free is Loving a Fallen Star. This features Vincent and Annie. So Vincent was a Hollywood star until he was in a disfiguring car accident. After his car accident, he moves to a small town and, despite being horrifically disfigured, falls in love with Annie, who is the local veterinarian there. Now, Annie has her own issues. She was in a very difficult relationship. She's a little heavy set, and she has polycystic ovarian syndrome, so suffers from infertility. And she is still feeling very burned by her last relationship. Her husband had left her for somebody else because he wanted kids, and she feels really bad about her weight and has some frustrations with how she looks. Her and Vincent fall in love, but then he must choose whether to return to his acting career, which is, his passion in life, or to stay in the small town with Annie. It's a romance. It's good stuff. The next book that is available is Her Forever Husband. Heather is a woman who is engaged to be married. However, shortly after the engagement is announced, she starts having dreams of another man. Not the man she's about to marry. And these dreams are very vivid, and she is very, very in love with this man in her dreams. Could it be that these are memories from a past life, and they're trying to warn her off of marrying the wrong man? This is not a traditional romance. It is a romantic story. So I will tell you, it has the kind of ending romance readers want. However, the lead up is not what you would expect in typical romance. It is very much her having these dreams, realizing what's going on, and yeah. So just be warned with that, picking it up. This is not a traditional, they meet in the first chapter, him and her meet, and then go on to fall in love. So just know that, picking it up, it's not a traditional romance. The last one that is free is Wedding the Widow. Wedding the Widow follows two different romances, actually. So you get two romances for the price of one. It is set in historical America, so during the Wagons West. We have Charlotte, who is pregnant and is heading west with her husband. Her husband dies, and she decides that she doesn't really want to continue west. She's pregnant and just in a rough space. So the reverend pastor of their church says, "Hey, I have a guy in my congregation. He's a really good guy, and he's not married. Do you want to marry him? I bet he would take you. He would take you in as a wife, raise your child, solve the problems that you're having here." And she says yes. She meets him. His name is Augustus, and he is an amputee. He is missing one of his legs. And this, of course, for him has caused a lot of problems, because when he lost his leg, his ex-fiancée left him. She's like, "Nope, can't do it. I need a man who's strong and can take care of me and can provide for me, and I don't want to be basically what she figured would be living in terrible circumstances because I have a husband who is crippled. Not a great word, don't know what other word to use, sorry. So we have their romance because Augustus is an amazing guy. He is absolutely worth falling in love with, and Charlotte does. Little bit of a trigger warning here. There is a miscarriage in this story. And, well, yeah, a miscarriage slash stillbirth. It's a miscarriage, I would say. A later term miscarriage. So if that's something that's going to be upsetting for you, this book may not be the right one. It is an emotional gut punch. It was when I wrote it. I cried, but I think it's important to the story. And I think the book is worth it. Just know that going in, that if you are somebody who might be affected by that, proceed with caution. We also have our second romance is Sophie and Ezra. So Sophie is a friend of Charlotte's. They came west together. Sophie is traveling west because she is a mail order bride. She goes out, meets Ezra. Ezra didn't really want a bride. He wanted somebody to take care of his dad. Ezra doesn't really know how to deal with a woman. He's never encountered one before. He lives in the mountains. He's never encountered one. He's never been around one a lot. He lives in the mountains with his dad. He's a logger. And so he spends his time around men. The only women he knows are from the brothels. His mother has died, so he doesn't even have her to influence him. It's just him and his dad. So he doesn't really know what to do with Sophie when she arrives. And she, of course, has come all this way to marry this man. And she doesn't just want to be a caregiver for his father. She wants to be married and in love and have a relationship with her husband. And she does. So I have to tell you, though, and if you're kind of wondering why is she spoiling things, because so many people who are indies mislabel romantic stories, and they're not always romances with happily ever afters. Everything I have told you here has a happily ever after except for singing the last song. Everything. So no worries, everything is maybe not flowers and rainbows along the way, but we get our happy endings in the end, except for singing the last song. So disclaimer all around. That's what you need to know about these books if you want to pick them up. And please, if any of them sound interested, go grab them for free. No resistance, just go get them. You don't need to. The worst you can do is have been given a free ebook that maybe isn't for you. So go, get books, enjoy your summer. Alright guys, this is Jane. I will be linking Smashwords below. Check out not just my free books, but all the other authors there. Support the authors on Smashwords. We are a great community and we love our readers. So thank you so much guys. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.